Are you quick to judge people? I certainly am, and it was only recently that I acknowledged and understood that I am quick to judge people. I've always known, especially for the last 3 or 4 years, that I'm quick to call someone out when they're judgmental. What I didn't realize until within the last couple of weeks is that in turn makes me judgmental. Now just think about that for a sec. Me being judgmental of others, me calling out others people's judgment makes me judgmental. And I didn't come to this realization until, like I said, a few weeks ago, where I went clubbing with a couple of mates of mine because one of my mates was going overseas to study abroad for 1 semester. And it was like a final catch up. It was good to see each other. We were surrounded by good company and I was really enjoying my time. But at times during the night, I just found myself standing there and just looking around and being a bit uncomfortable and disgusted. And it wasn't because of how the people looked, but it was because of the vibe that I got from club culture. And what I realized was that I was letting myself not have a good time, even though I was having a good time, purely because of what I had been telling myself about nightclubs and the culture of nightclubs. I tell you of this story because I realized that I am the one who has convinced myself that clubbing and the vibe there, regardless of who I'm with and what we're doing, is something that I won't enjoy. And this judgment has significantly impacted how I'm able to experience life. And at this stage of my life, I just want life experience. I want to experience new things and do things that I haven't yet done before. And I'm finding that my judgment is getting in the way of that. And that's something that I don't want for you guys. And a couple of nights ago, I was having a really nice and deep conversation with one of my closest friends. And I asked him a question. The question was, do you think there is a difference between judgment and boundaries? He paused, and I'd been journaling and trying to figure out the answer to this, my answer to this, for a couple weeks now, ever since I went clubbing a couple weeks ago. Because I realized that night I was very judgmental, and that didn't allow me to experience the culture and the experience well enough. So I asked him, and he said something that I never really was able to put to words. He agreed that there was a difference, but he said that judgment is external, whereas boundaries are internal. And I thought about this, and I went home and I journaled about it. And this is what I came up with. Judgment is you deciding about something external and letting that impact you. It's like you reacting differently to something that's happening externally. Now, if we go back to primitive times, hundreds and thousands of years ago, this judgment was the difference between life and death. Now, in 2025, that is a completely different story, and judgment is taken in a completely different narrative to that of our primal form. But like I said, judgment is something that, especially with me, I have let something external impact me internally. And on the contrary, boundaries. Boundaries are something that I control internally, regardless of what's happening around me in the external. And I think that's the biggest difference, because at first I wasn't really able to differentiate between boundaries and judgment, but I knew they were different. They made me feel different. And then at first, I was judging people based on the boundaries I was setting for myself. But these boundaries were external. So let me give you an example. I'd treat someone differently because of how they acted. Or I'd speak to them differently because of how they acted. But not in a good way. Not in a good way at all. I'd speak to them in a way that was almost condescending. And it is definitely not something that I stand for, because I think everyone should be treated fairly and equally. And I think that judgment, for me, completely takes that out of proportion. I also think that judgment is very critical. You're criticizing people. I find that I was really, really criticizing people just by judging them. And that's not really something that I want to do at all. I think everyone has an opportunity to learn and grow, and they have the freedom to do whatever they want to do. So who am I to say that you can't do that? And just like, who are you to say that I can't do what I want to do? And that's what leads me to this point here today, talking about judgment and boundaries. So to wrap things up, what I want you to take from this is that, yes, it is good to set boundaries for yourself, especially if you're a people pleaser like me, because I'm a recovering people pleaser. But also that judgment is very critical. And it can get you into places where you start criticizing lots of people for no reason whatsoever. And it can take the experience out of the life experience that you're going to get regardless of what you're doing. So please, don't let judgment impact how you live your life, just like I have up until this point. And as always, change starts with you.